Welcome back to the channel. Depression. Depression is not just sad mood or excessive crying, but depression can affect on your day-to-day activities. Depression can sometimes change your personality. It can sometimes change things in you physically. Depression can also make your relationships fall apart. Basically, depression can impact on every aspect of your life. But you know what is the worst part? That there is no blood test available that you can take and get diagnosed with depression. You need to know what exactly is depression, and probably you need to go to a mental health professional to seek help in time to get the diagnosis. To know more about depression, what are the treatments and what are the signs of depression mainly, we have with us today Prerna from iCall. Prerna is a counseling psychologist by training from TISS and have nearly 6 years of work experience at a field action project of TISS. Over the years, she has worked with diverse stakeholders and have been involved in counseling, supervision, training, recruiting, team building, research, and other roles. She is founder of RaaH, an initiative for training and supervision of mental health professionals. RaaH aims at offering support and guidance to postgraduate students of psychology and mental health professionals offering counseling services in the community. RaaH is committed to building capacities by helping counseling professionals function from the psychosocial and queer affirmative lens. Hi Prerna.
Hi Shilpa.
Depression is growing concern in the society today, but the most difficult part is exactly what is depression. Very few people know. There is a lot of confusion about this word depression. So my first question to you is, what is the difference between bad mood and depression?
Yes, this term is being used a lot, or probably a lot of people feel that they may be going through depression. However, like you said, it is very important to understand what depression is and how is it different from the emotions of sadness, or how is it different from bad mood that we experience on a day-to-day life. So I think if we have to also look at some of the symptoms of depression. So when we look at depression, or when we look at how depression is actually diagnosed, so we speak about a lot of feelings of sadness, feelings of worthlessness, hopelessness, and we also talk about certain physiological changes. It has an impact on our appetite, on our sleep. We do not feel motivated enough to do even our day-to-day tasks. And at the same time, sometimes there may be also feelings of suicide or wanting to harm oneself. So these are some of the signs and symptoms of depression. Now, if you have to look at these signs also, most of the times it may feel like these are emotions that we are feeling on a day-to-day basis also, because we are also amidst difficult situations. However, how do you differentiate between emotions that you usually experience and depression is again the duration for which you have been experiencing those emotions, again the severity and the intensity with which you are experiencing them, how difficult it is for you to cope with these emotions, and also the kind of impact that it is having on your day-to-day functioning. So these are some of the factors that differentiate between the sadness that we experience usually and feelings of depression.
Feeling sad is okay, I think it's healthy, but if that sad feeling is for prolonged time, and sometimes even without reason, sometimes even without reason we feel sad, we feel like crying, and I think that is one of the signs of depression as well. What are the causes of depression? Does it always have to be an event or a trauma, or there can be something else?
So there is no one cause for depression, because again the emotions that we experience are so complex that it is difficult to attribute it to one cause. But however, if you have to look at the research around depression, there are different factors that can contribute to feelings of depression. There are certain factors that are called predisposing factors, which include genetic factors. For instance, if my family members have had depression, then that automatically puts me at a risk of depression as well. or there could be some serious trauma, some serious physical injury. That could also put me at risk of depression. So there are predisposing factors that make you vulnerable or that put you at risk of developing, emotions like depression. Similarly, there are some precipitating factors. Now, precipitating factors are factors that trigger the onset of depression. So it can be something that I have gone through in my life, or it can be a major life transition, like say a loss of a loved one, or some very significant losses that we might have gone through. There are people who have lost out on jobs. So those can be events that can be classified as precipitating factors because they may trigger these emotions of depression. Similarly, there are some perpetuating factors. So there are some factors that maintain the emotions that we are going through. For instance, if there has been an event, say I have lost somebody very dear to me, but if after that I do not have adequate support, I do not have anybody with whom I can maybe talk about my feelings, or probably there are some other situations that I am dealing with at the same time. So those are, perpetuating, or those are maintaining those feelings of sadness, or those emotions of depression that I am going through. So all of these factors, they contribute to these emotions of depression.
Even sometimes the hormonal issues can cause depression. Is that true? Because
Yes.
I work particularly for women in midlife, around their menopause, and I came across some study which says that during the menopause, the chance of depression goes much higher because of hormonal imbalances in your body. When to seek help? Because normally it's a typical tendency of telling a person that you're sad, you are okay, and this is just a phase, it will go away. But in case of depression, it doesn't happen. So when to understand that this is not just a phase and I need to take some action on that?
Certainly, I think, again, to answer that question, I would go back to some of those factors that differentiate, a bad mood from feelings of depression, right? So we need to look at the frequency with which we are experiencing those emotions. We need to look at the intensity, the severity of those emotions, the duration for which we have been experiencing those emotions, and also the kind of impact that it is having on our day-to-day life. So if it's happening for a very long period of time and it is becoming extremely difficult. So one thing that we also need to understand, that all of us as individuals, we do try our best to cope with our emotions, right? So there are some strategies that we may do ourselves. There is some help that we may seek from our family, from our friends. And a lot of times these strategies might be helpful for us. But there may be times when we may find it extremely difficult to even cope with all of these things, all of this support that we have. Even I may have a fantastic family support, but despite that, I may find it very difficult to cope with the emotions that I am going through. And similarly, if the emotions, the intensity of the emotions are so much that I am finding it difficult to function in my day-to-day life, that is when I need to realize that I need to seek professional help.
And what are the ways in which depression can be treated? Because this was a question recently came in from one of my viewers. The moment I go to check with my depression, people will give me medication, fears about the mental health help. So what are the ways in which depression can be treated by therapies or medication, and how does one go about it?
A counselor may be able to look at how it has affected their cognition and may be able to address some of those thoughts by some of the counseling therapies that we are trained in. Apart from that, we may also be able to, look at certain changes or certain support that the person may require in terms of, managing their day-to-day routine, because there are some strategies to manage that as well. And apart from that, I think, coming to your question of this whole fear of, if I go to a mental health professional, I will be diagnosed and I will be offered medication. So over here also we need to understand that medication is offered only by psychiatrists because they are doctors and they are trained to assess and offer a diagnosis for a mental illness. Counselors, on the other hand, do not offer a diagnosis. They understand what your experience of distress is and they try and offer you support accordingly. So again, when you are looking at seeking help for distress in any form, You can choose whether you would like to see a counselor first or you would like to go to a doctor first. That is absolutely your choice, right? So if you see a counselor, you may not get a diagnosis for mental illness or for depression, but probably you can just talk about what your experience of distress is, and then you can see if that process has been helpful for you. A counselor may also be able to help you decide whether you have to see a doctor. They may be able to offer you that psychoeducation about how medication works, about how probably you could see a doctor, and that is when you could take a call to see a psychiatrist as well.
New types of antidepressants are coming up. Are they safe? Because this is a very big question that in everyone's mind, that is it going to make me depend on them forever? Is it going to make me fat? It's going to make me sleep all the day. So how safe are they?
So as long as we are taking them after consulting a trusted psychiatrist, it's absolutely okay to take them. Coming to some of the other concerns with medication as to what will be the level of dosage, what will be some of the possible side effects, while you are consulting a psychiatrist, you discuss about the medication, about the dosage, and about the side effects that it is going to cause, right? So as an individual, it is your right to know about your treatment plan, whether you are seeing a psychiatrist or a psychologist. It's very important for you to have adequate information about what your treatment plan is likely to look like. That is your right as an individual, right? So whether you choose to see a doctor or a counselor, do ask about what the process of treatment is going to look like, what it is going to involve from your side. If you're seeing a doctor, if you're going to take medication, ask about the medication. What is the kind of dosage you are likely to take? How is it likely to help you? What are some of the possible side effects, and how can that be managed? And also, one thing that we need to keep in mind, that if we are taking medication and we are experiencing side effects, it's important to be in touch with our doctor regarding the same. It's important to also consult our doctor regularly regarding the experience that we are going through after taking medication, because then the doctor will be able to help with some of the side effects or the experience that we may be going through after taking medication.
Thank you so much, Prerna, for being with us today and helping us know what is depression and what are the signs of depression as well. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you see these issues around you with your loved ones, with your friends, then make sure to share this video. The important part here is staying healthy, not just physically, but also mentally. Take care. See you next time.